this portion of a rescue story is kind of an event story as compared to a full-blown rescue story, but it was probably one of the most amazing things I saw in my entire lifeguard career. And it was August of '72, huge surf, biggest surf I had ever seen. And I was assigned to run the northern unit and be in charge of Area 3 and 4. And, you know, the early unit, which was 5640, would go north at about 7:45, 8 o'clock. And then about 3 o'clock, 3:30, then that you would leave the northern area, heading back towards Three Arch and Salt Creek and Monarch Bay, hit those towers on your way in. And as you transition, the other unit that had been in taking care of those areas, 5630, would become 5640, and then you would become 5630 because you were heading in. And then once you got back to lifeguard headquarters, obviously 5640 was in charge of all Area 3 and 4, everything from Dana Harbor to the Montage. And surf had been really big. I mean, a lot of rescues that day. Lisa was just crushing it, and we pulled it into Monarch Bay. We came down through the road system, broke the guard there. Surf was big. You know, we're talking 25, 28-foot faces. I mean, it was really big. And not very many people in the water. We gave him a break, went down to Salt Creek. We got to mid-Salt Creek, look at the horizon, and here comes three waves that are just enormous. And there's about 10 or 12 surfers out. And these three waves march towards the coast, and they break way out beyond the impact zone that normally they would break at. And, you know, the first wave breaks, and it's 42 feet faces. And the second one's, you know, just about the same. Third one's 45 feet. And at the end of the third one, there's surfboards starting to wash up on the beach, and the white water is 18 to 20 feet. And we can't find anybody that belongs to those boards. So I radio in that we're going to stay there for a while instead of continuing back to lifeguard headquarters, and tell them what's happened. I'm on Channel 2 explaining this, and you know, Tom Metzger is operating 5690. They're coming into the harbor after being in the city all day long, and he asked me if we would like to have him come up to Salt Creek. And I said we could really use a platform, because I don't know if we're doing a body search or just what we're doing here, but we can't find anybody. And you know, by now all 10 or 12 boards are on the beach, and this is not looking good at all. I mean, it's kind of like, you know, why couldn't this happen at the beginning of the day? I'm tired, you know. And pretty soon, about 10, 12 minutes later, here comes 5690 around the corner, and you know, Dana Point, and dips in towards Dana Strand, comes around the South Jetty there at Salt Creek, and he's really moving. And he's in the impact zone, so I'm doing overwatch for him to see what's coming, if anything. And he gets about mid-Salt Creek, and you know, he can't find anybody either. I mean, the boards are on the beach, we can't find anybody. All it is frothy, brownish, white water, and there's a little bit of a lull right now, so he's moving northward, looking, as you know, on either side. And I can't remember who his boat operator assistant was. It just is vanished. But anyway, I'm doing the overwatch, and I look out, and here comes three new waves. And these waves make the previous waves look little. And Tom is way inside, way inside. And so I didn't even use normal radio code. I just said, you know, 40 to 90 outside now, three wave set, 50 foot. And Tom doesn't even acknowledge on the radio. He just gives the old, like this, as he's turning, and the rescue boat turns and heads out to sea. And he makes it over the first wave, and that wave goes on to at least be 45 feet, breaking. And the white water is gargantuan. And somehow he makes it over the second wave while it's still green, but the last wave is looming, and he's not going to make it. He's just not going to make it. And he gets out to it, and suddenly the bow starts to raise up. Now, keep in mind the rescue boat's 30 feet long, and he starts to go up the face of this green wave, and it's moving towards the beach all the time. And the rescue boat's going with it. And he gets up, and we can see that he's just about vertical. And there's 8 to 10 feet of green water below the stern, and there's 8 to 10 feet of green water above the bow. And this looks like it's going to be the full-on over backwards. Both guys are going to get killed, and there's not a thing we can do about it. And I don't know how or why. I mean, I just literally am amazed that somehow they were able to stay in the cockpit of the boat, because they were that vertical. And they get up to the top, and the boat kind of teeters and it's still moving towards the beach. And he actually, in this 30-foot boat, he's halfway as the wave is starting to curl. It's curling and the boat's hanging halfway, and we can see 15-foot hull hanging over the breaking wave, and we can see the propeller is just barely spinning. And it's like, he's just going to get sucked. Like, how many times you've been surfing and you think you're going to make that last wave and go up, but you just go over. Well, he's in that position with this rescue boat. And somehow the wave gives him up and he slides down the backside. And it was stunning. It was such a feat of seamanship. And Tom doesn't claim it that way, but I'm telling you, from the beach, it was incredible.
Now, did they find the surfers?
Well, what was really unusual was shortly thereafter, once he's safely outside, the surfers start to appear out of the whitewater, kind of like Field of Dreams, where the baseball players are coming out of the cornfield. And before long, I mean, it was surreal, but before long, everybody's got their board and they all leave the beach. Nobody's going to, it's taken them 20, 25 minutes to get to the shore. And then we were able to call it a day and go home. But it was a sight I'll never forget, and we laugh about it a little bit now, saying, like I told you early on, there are two general rules. It seemed like a good idea at the time, and I hope the chief doesn't find out about this, So it was never mentioned. No emergency call report was written because nothing happened, but it was an astounding event. It really was. I mean, I've never seen surf that big and that powerful.